Hello, it's Rochelle Jones. What do we have? Tea and me at 3, and I'm pouring my tea because that's where I am today. A little bit behind. That's kind of the story of my life. What tea do I have? Hi, thanks for being here. Let's see. Today I'm drinking, I don't know, a good one, an old one. It's probably expired according to expiration dates, but I don't read those sometimes. Not on tea. This is a Tea Motions one. Do y'all know Tea Motions? Tea Motions is good. I like it. They have great flavors. They have adaptogens, different things. This one's dark chocolate peppermint, so it's like a green tea. I had a sweet tooth. Basically, I'm hungry is what it really is because I haven't eaten properly. So, and then I use a little bit of stevia. Do y'all use stevia in your tea? All right, here we are. My nicely, look at this, my nicely chopped up string cheese because I was running up here. I was so hungry. So here we are, T and me. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you're here. Today we were talking about self-care. And I had asked a question this week of oh, look, I have to show this too. This little mug. This is from Monica. Monica let's see. Monica Davis Grief Recovery. She gave me this little mug. Look, it has a little sweater. It comes off so I go wash it. It's got a little button. I don't know how do you see it. That's so cute. Oh, it's so cute. Anyway, that's what we have today. It feels like it's warm, wrapped in a hug. Self-care. I had asked you earlier in the week, one of the days, I don't even know what today is. Oh, Thursday, duh. What you do for self-care. What does self-care look like for you? And then a lot of you gave me really great feedback on what self-care looks like for you. And it was a lot of the stuff I was expecting because that's what we have learned. Manicures, pedicures, massages, facials, bourbon sticks out. That was pretty great. I saw bourbon. Yeah, I really did. I saw the beach several times. That could be a place I'd like to go to for a pause. What else? I saw sunshine, sitting out in the sun. Do you remember? What is your, how do you self-care? I saw reading, Bible studies, prayer, good meals, like treating yourself out to a good meal. Shopping. I saw work. That one got me. I was like, I mean, ultimately, we do need to work. I absolutely love my work. I get to do such an amazing thing. Hi, thank you for being here. Oops, wrong button. I do love my work, but when I'm thinking of self-care, I don't necessarily think work, but to each his own, to each his own. It might be for you. Maybe that's their safe space. Maybe that's their place where they get to be quiet. Maybe that's just what they know because it's become familiar. I don't know. There's all kinds of reasons that we choose the self-care routine that we do, right? And so I had shared with you last week, I live in a neurodiverse home, a home where 2 of the 4 of us are neurodivergent. I am neurotypical. And so sometimes what that means is I can get, they can as well, but I can only speak from my own personal experience. I can only really feel and see inside of myself. So I can get overwhelmed, run down. I can feel a little lonely, sad, just different things, right? And then, of course, if I weren't aware, and I've tried all the things, I would jump into self-care the way that the world describes self-care. And it's an interesting thing, self-care, because we do those things, but then we jump right back into life. Hi. And any emotional energy or heaviness is still there. Maybe we took a pause from its effects. We took a pause from noticing it as front and center, but all the emotional energy is still there. So I was having a tough week. I did some grief work last week, but it didn't really take root. It didn't really take effect because I was aware that there was something deeper. So I worked on that this week and had another appointment this week. And just writing it, doing the motions, I actually felt much better. And then the appointment for my heart with my heart with ears was just because that's what's really necessary. That was just to go through the motions and make it official. But I was actually feeling better already because I had captured it. And but I have a Monica actually who gave me this mug. And she's a fabulous specialist, Monica Davis, grief recovery. I had talked with her a little bit about the beforehand. She had checked in to see how I was feeling. And I talked with her and said I wasn't feeling a whole lot different. So she was aware. She had been talking with her a little bit as I went on. And then I did the big one. I finally found the depth of it and I was able to heal and recover from that wound that I found. That's the point. I'm not a grief specialist. I'm a grief recovery specialist. I don't want to just, I mean, hearing about what's causing you grief is huge and important, but I want to get to recovery. I want to get to where you feel better, to where your energy is restored and your focus is restored and your sleep is improved and your, who knows? I mean, that could just take you all kinds of different directions, right? Recovery. So anyway, she said, I was pretty low actually. Sometimes I get really weighed down. And she said, I'm so glad that you know self-care. And that's where this came from today. This topic, this idea was, that's true. So I live in a home that can build up an intensity for me. And I would have done the normal traditional routes of self-care, gone to yoga, meditated, exercised, gone on a lawn walk, a prayer walk, even met with people, talked about it, studied, journaled, maybe even had a good lunch with friends, perhaps even a brunch with a glass of champagne, a pedicure, a manicure, not so much facials, maybe a massage. You know, these are the things that I learned, and these are things that I would have done before. And definitely prayed. That would have definitely been one. But here's the thing. Our self-care is got to be multifaceted. Yes, it's great to create a pause in our routine. And if our routine includes ruminating, bitterness, resentment, replaying, rehashing, even if it's privately inside of our head, those are part of our routine. Even if we keep that quiet and private, not necessarily quiet, but private over here in our head, and we're still going through the motions of life. We could still be really successful. We could still thrive even. But we've got that secret rumination that goes on as well. And that has just become part of our routine. That's just what we know going forward. And so we have learned to engage in self-care to give us a pause from that. But here's something with grief recovery. With grief recovery, it's a step-by-step method to teach us how to travel inward and find, what are we really ruminating on? How do we actually feel? And then helps us to heal that unfinished business. Actually, Cole James, the owner president of the Grief Recovery Institute, he just put out a video which was like, yes, Cole, that's exactly it. I mean, he obviously knows that. I'm just saying, yes, 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 that's all. Shout it from the rooftops. That video was about just the things that we do in our lives and we get used to carrying the weight from what we're ruminating about. And what we're ruminating about is what we wish we could have said differently. If we would have had all the tools or the information, we would have done this. If we would have had more background or more training, we would have said or done this, or we would have handled life this way. Or, man, that was such a mistake. If I would have known, I wouldn't have done it like that. I would have done it like this. You know, that person I wish they would have said, blah, blah. I wish they would have done. Why did they say it like that? Why did it go that way? How can they not see how what they just did or didn't do is affecting me? That seems like it would be a no-brainer. That seems like common knowledge. So we have those secret ruminations that we get used to carrying. And they're kind of heavy. That's what grief is. It's heavy. And so then we go and we engage in the self-care activity to give us a break from feeling the weight of that while we're trying to focus and live life, right? I mean, isn't that essentially what we do? What if, though, there was more? What if your self-care had greater depth than what you are available to see at this moment? When I practice a grief recovery method for myself, what it does is it takes me step by step inward so I can find anything that I've been ruminating about. And we go as far back as your memory will allow us. There's the reason you come in, but we're going to show you really everything you've been carrying is adding to the reason you came in. The reason you came in, whatever happened in your life, circumstances and events that happened in your life that brought you through the door of a grief recovery method class. Well, thank you so much for joining. That is just really the straw that broke the camel's back, essentially. That was the final nail in the coffin of, man, I can't take this anymore. So we come into the grief recovery method class. But that's not the only reason we're there. I came into the grief recovery method because I was devastated and brokenhearted after my dad shot himself. If I were really honest, I was there from a marriage of difficulty. I was married at 19. I bet we have 26 years coming up in February. You try to tell me there's not some hardship in there. Of course there is. We came in with hardship. I was sexually abused as a child at 5, and then also from about 11 to 13, or a couple of years. I know I was carrying that energy around. I just didn't talk about it. I didn't share it. I didn't speak about it. We have these things that we come in for, but really there's a whole lifetime of emotional energy that has been kind of ruminating over here outside of the view of others. That's actually why we come in. It's both. It's both. And we've tried all the things, all those self-care things. They just don't capture it because all they're doing is creating a pause. The grief recovery method is going to take us inward for the reason that we're there, but is also all the way back to find all the different energy that we've been carrying. What are all the events that have left us with some unresolved emotion called grief? Conflicting feelings. I want to stay focused and feel good over here, but gosh dang it, that noise kind of creeps up and is noisy in the background. Sometimes it messes with my sleep or my energy or my focus or my patience. So after going through the grief recovery method and finding all those wounds, those hot spots, those moments of unfinished and unresolved emotional business, and then healing those, it's a step-by-step process, evidence-based. How much better can you get than that? We're the only evidence-based method on planet Earth, by the way, to help you with the emotional aftermath from events. So, after you've healed these wounds, guess what self-care gets to do? Just be amazing. Just be great. First of all, I'm aware now of what's going on in my soul. It's not clouded with all the other things that I've been carrying through my lifetime. It's free. And then when life starts to creep in and get a little too noisy and a little too heavy, I can say, whoa, wait a minute. I need to pause and reflect. So now my pedicure time, or I don't actually get manicures in the winter. These are stickers. But if I were getting a manicure or a pedicure or a massage, I have a really fluid practice of traveling within Where is that hot spot, Rachelle? What is it? Where's the wound today? Then I could find it. I could capture it and heal it with the grief recovery method. So the shift is my self-care, instead of it being a type of escape, it's a moment of connection for me. And then when I find it, I can use the grief recovery method, heal it, and pull that energy out. It's gone. It's off of me. I don't need to go have a pedicure again the next week because that wound's healed. I'm not seeking the next self-care technique. And is it really self-care if it's just numbing us out or leaving us full of energy that we're just continue to carry forward? Is that actually caring? I know that weight's really tough and heavy for you, but here's the moment to pause. Which that's not wrong. That isn't wrong. Take the moment to pause. We don't know when you're going to get real serious about, I'm not listening to my insides. I overdo it. I overfunction. I overperform. I overserve. I overgive. I over what? What is it for you? What do you overly do that keeps you hidden and wounded? Why do you carry those wounds? Why did I carry those wounds? I carried those wounds because I didn't know I was allowed to let them out. I hadn't seen that example before. I didn't know. I simply didn't know. There's that. I was also afraid. I was afraid to look weak. I was afraid to be judged. I was afraid to be less than. I was afraid to not be enough. I was afraid to not fit in. I was afraid to not be received. I was afraid to be a burden on someone else. So I kept all of my energy. For years, I kept my energy, my emotional energy, my unresolved emotion called grief, the shoulda, woulda, couldas, and I thought it was clever because I would keep it quiet and then I would go forward. Well, I'll just do it differently next time. And I had created so much noise of, I'll just do it differently next time. They don't need to know. I was exhausted. I was exhausted. So the goal is self-care needs to serve self. And is it really serving you if it's just prolonging pain, emotional pain? The stuff that's inside that you don't talk about, the stuff that's inside that maybe you do talk about, but you don't know how to travel in to actually heal. So then it comes back up and you got to talk about it again. Recovery means that it's healed. The wound is no longer bleeding. It's sutured, it's scarred. No, we say that I've got a bunch of scars, but really what we usually have is a bunch of festering wounds that we carry from years past, moments past, because we didn't learn how to travel inward to heal that. We thought that the self-care was doing it, but really the self-care that society has taught us is teaching us to carry the wounds forward and not heal the stuff that's on the inside. The goal of grief recovery method is to help us heal all the wounds and unfinished emotional business from the inside so that the self-care actually is just great. It's just amazing. It's just there to serve you. Sometimes self-care, if you are really aware, can be used to, I'm just going to take a moment. For me, it looks like I wake up, I sit in the sun or stand in the sun, even if it's like for 2 minutes, it's still a pause that I'm creating in my day to just connect with myself and see what's going on. And do I have anything in me that needs some attention? Am I prepared and ready for this day? Physically, I will step in grass, usually barefoot. That's the goal. I will absorb sun follow the dog. The dogs do it. Why do they naturally know what to do? And we're like, I don't know. We just watch them. The babies, the dogs, they teach us. So I do some things like that. And they're to create a pause to travel inward, to see where my unfinished emotional business is. How am I? How's Rachelle? What's she got going on today? Does she need to knock out some grief work? Does she need to make an appointment to complete that grief work? And then, so the nails might just be because I like them. The facial might just be because I like the way my skin looks. The massage might be because that's really important. I get tight. I want to move lymph. It becomes something important versus a way to distract us from the emotional stuff, business that we're carrying around because it's all just been clinging on for how many years? Do you know what I'm saying? How is that sitting with you? What kind of wonders are you having? What what's your self-care technique so far? Does it need adjustment? Do you have something going on the inside that really needs attention and the self-care, if we're really honest, isn't working? What do we have out there? It's amazing what happens when we just have permission to get really honest with ourselves about ourselves. That's what it's for. So another part of self-care is I've been so in tune with my insides because I've healed it, and I'm so fluidly I regularly, and I'm really comfortable with traveling inward to see where I am, and Christmas kisses. See where I am, see what's going on. That means I'm really in touch with myself before the overwhelm happens, before the rundown happens. I know, I see it coming, I feel it, I approach it. So what do I need to do? And guess what? If I'm aware that it's coming, guess what that means? I can handle my reaction differently. I can now respond to it. I can walk out and meet it versus what? Why? When'd you get here? Why are you here? I didn't expect that. I didn't expect you to show up like that. What if you were able to walk out and see something coming that you know is going to bother you? You know it's going to be heavy for you. You know it's going to be a little intense, a little exhausting, a little tiresome. What if you were, oh, Christina, I think I just pushed the wrong button. Thank you for being here. And I think I just pushed the wrong button. I'll have to check that in a little bit. What if your self-care was not for numbing, but it was for empowerment? Develop a practice of traveling inward, find the wounds, heal the wounds. Oh, I'm still. You know what? I'm going to go get a pedicure because I need a moment of pause to just really look inward to see where are my wounds? Where do I need healing? Where do I need recovery? You know what? I need to pause and create a plan. I could see that this big thing is coming at me. It's going to be overwhelming for me. It's going to cost too much energy. So, how can I adjust that as much as I can before it even comes? And then I can react, maybe not react, just respond differently. That's what self care really should be about. And that's how I use the grief recovery method to make my self care really, really, really effective. Not just a pause from the noise, but a moment of connection and healing. And also, then the self care just gets to be for fun, just a little bonus because I'm still alive today. What if you got to adjust it and make it more, more depth, more fulfillment, more fun? Do you have fun? Do you want to have fun? I don't know. I just want you to know I love you. And I'm so thankful that you're here today, that you're checking in. Look at these little crazies. When curly hair starts growing out, woo wee! It's something else. Look at this. It's curly hair growing out for you. That's what we got. I just want to see. I just want to see what it's going to end up looking like at each different stage. I kind of liked it short, to be honest, but that was recovery too. We could actually talk about that a different hi. We could talk about that a different day. Maybe that's something we should talk about, going first and what going first might look like. What does it mean? What does it look like? Just had a great conversation about that with a student of mine who just finished her last class. Phenomenal work. Uh just like an hour ago, I think we ended. So anyway, y'all have questions, wonders, don't be afraid to. Thank you. Yeah, they're coming. They're coming, aren't they, those little girls? You can't, it grows out to a point where we can't contain it. Curly hair is going to be what it is going to be. And to try to fight it and make it something else is just going to cause grief. So that's not going to work. Oh, Auntie Sharon, hello. Um, Well, if you've tuned in today, I just want to tell you thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. We'll be back here, I believe, next Thursday, because there will be sometimes I can't. Yeah, we'll be back here next Thursday, the 25th. Let me know. What do you want to hear about? What do you want to learn? What's important to you? What's on your mind? Um, Maybe it's going first. Maybe that's a natural first stop. Listen, I love you. Tea and me next week, Thursday, the 25th. Come join me. Join the conversation. Let me know what's on your heart and mind so I can bring topics that are relevant to you and how grief recovery applies to those topics that are relevant to you. I love y'all. See you next week. Bye, everybody. Bye, 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 bye. Oh, by the way, the recording will be on YouTube later in case you needed to hear the early part.